Okay, check your calendars, everyone. It is February 10th, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Now, usually a Tuesday in February is just, well, a Tuesday. It's cold, it's gray, you're just trying to get to the weekend.
Right.
But if you are anything like me, or if you are plugged into the animation or fighting game scene even a little bit, you are probably vibrating at a very specific frequency right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are exactly 3 days away from a massive convergence.
It really is a significant week.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because it's not just about one single thing dropping. It is about how several massive moving parts of a media franchise are all clicking together at once.
It's a synchronized event.
Exactly.
We are talking, of course, about Demon Slayer,
Like
but we aren't just sitting here rehashing the anime plot or talking about manga chapters that finished years ago. We are doing a deep dive into the video game universe, specifically Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles 2.
The sequel that has been holding the fighting game community's attention for quite a while now, it's had a surprisingly long tail.
Exactly. But the news dropping this week is specific, and it is huge. We are looking at the Infinity Castle expansion.
Right.
We have release announcements for the Part 1 character pass. We have platform listings to go through. And honestly, we need to talk about some fascinating industry news regarding what the anime itself is doing in theaters.
In Japan right now.
In Japan.
And that context is absolutely crucial. What we want to do today is unpack this new character roster that is dropping literally in 72 hours, but also connect these video game updates to the broader cultural moment the franchise is having.
Because it's not happening in a vacuum.
Not at all.
It feels like Demon Slayer is just everywhere right now. You walk into a convenience store, it's there. You check movie listings, it's there.
It is. Between the IMAX records, which we will get to, and the streaming arcs, the franchise is aggressively expanding its territory. And this game update is a major part of that ecosystem.
A fresh infusion of energy.
A fresh infusion of energy into the gaming realm specifically.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the immediate headline. The thing that is happening this Friday, February 13th.
The date is key here. February 13th is the drop date mentioned across all our sources for the headliner of this expansion.
And the headliner is none other than Tanjiro Kamado. Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Okay.
We already have Tanjiro in the game. We have water-breathing Tanjiro, Hinokami Kogura Tanjiro. We have school uniform Tanjiro. Why should we care about another Tanjiro? Is this just a cash grab?
That is the right question to ask. I mean, usually in fighting games, a new version of a main character can feel like a lazy reskin.
Right, he has a new hat or something.
A new hat or a slightly different super move. But the sources are very specific here. This is the Infinity Castle Incarnation.
Infinity Castle Incarnation. It sounds cool, I'll give him that. But what does that actually mean for the player holding the controller?
Well, think about the narrative arc. If you look at early Tanjiro, he is a rookie. He is hesitant. He is constantly apologizing to the demons as he kills them. He's learning the ropes. The sources describe this new version as having a steely resolve. That is not just flavor text. It implies a fundamental shift in how the character handles.
He's steely resolve. I like that. It implies he's seen some things. He's not the kid crying over the demons anymore.
Precisely. If you follow the trajectory of the character, by the time we reach the Infinity Castle arc, the stakes are exponentially higher. It is total war.
Yeah.
The text describes him as having a unique combat style specific to this era.
So if you are a fan of the mechanics, you are likely looking at a character who is more efficient, maybe more aggressive.
That is the implication. If the gameplay reflects the narrative, which Hinokami Chronicles usually tries to do quite faithfully, this Tanjiro should feel heavier, more decisive.
Okay.
Perhaps his parry windows are tighter, or his recovery frames are better. He is described as a must-have for the roster.
I am absolutely ready to see what that unique combat style feels like. Because you're right, narrative-wise, at this point in the story, Tanjiro is basically a Hashira in all but name.
Exactly. And the buzz around this has been building. There was a recent trailer that teased this release. And according to the reports we have, it generated significant buzz in the community.
Oh, I bet.
People have been waiting to see how the game adapts this specific, mature era of Tanjiro.
So that is happening Friday, February 13. Mark it down. But Tanjiro isn't coming alone.
No. Strictly speaking, he is part of a larger package.
Let's talk about that package. This is the Infinity Castle Part 1 Character Pass. And looking at this list, wow.
They are not holding back.
Not at all. It is a very deliberate, very curated mix of heroes and villains.
It really is.
So we have Tanjiro leading the charge, but let's look at who else is in this Part 1 pass. On the hero side, we've got Zenitsu Agatsuma
Always a fan favorite.
and Shinobu Kocho.
The insect Hashira.
Now, Shinobu is interesting to me in a fighting game context because lore-wise, she is physically the weakest Hashira. She can't cut off demon heads.
Right, she uses poison.
She uses poison. How does that work in a game where you generally have to deplete a health bar through impact?
That is where the game design gets clever. Usually, Shinobu characters rely on speed and damage over time effects, the poison mechanic stacking up.
All the little hits.
A lot of little hits. Seeing her included in this Infinity Castle pass suggests we might see an evolution of that. In the final arc, her role becomes, well, without spoiling the specifics.
Right.
Let's just say her fighting style becomes much more critical and high stakes.
So we might see an even faster, deadlier version of that hit-and-run style. Less poking, more lethal injection.
I would expect so. But honestly, as interesting as the heroes are, they are almost the safety net here. It is the villain side of the roster where things get wild.
Yeah, this is where my jaw hit the floor. We have Kaigaku.
The sources describe him specifically as fierce.
For listeners who maybe just watch the anime casually and haven't read the manga, why is Kaigaku such a big deal? Why should we be scared of him?
Kaigaku is essentially the dark mirror of Zenitsu. They share the same master, the former Thunder Hashira. But whereas Zenitsu mastered only the first form of thunder breathing, Kaigaku mastered all the others and then became a demon.
So he's a thunder breather with demon powers.
Exactly. In a game sense, this is huge. You're likely getting a character with the blinding speed of Zenitsu, but the darker, more destructive range and power of a demon.
A mirror match waiting to happen.
It absolutely is.
That is going to be a nightmare in ranked matches. I can already feel it. I can see the Kaigaku mains spamming lightning attacks from across the screen.
It is inevitable, but he's just the opener. We also have Doma and Akaza included in this pass.
Heavy hitters. I mean, Akaza alone is a massive addition.
Akaza is upper rank 3. His fighting style, the destructive death, is essentially martial arts amplified by demon magic and shockwaves. He is a brawler.
It feels personal with him, too.
It is. If you look at the narrative, Akaza is the rival to both Rengoku and Tanjiro. Putting him in this specific Infinity Castle pack allows players to recreate some of the most emotionally charged fights in the series. You aren't just fighting a generic bad guy, you are fighting the guy who changed the trajectory of the series in the Mugen Train arc.
That's the hook, right? It's not just, here is a monster. It's, here is the guy who broke our hearts. Now you can play as him or try to beat him down.
Exactly. It leverages the emotional investment of the audience.
Well,
But, and we have to talk about the but.
The but. There is one name we haven't discussed yet, and this is where we have to manage some expectations. I feel like the sources are trying to let us down gently on this one.
You are talking about Giyu Tomioka.
The Water Bashira. He is confirmed for the pack. Which is great news. I feel like Giyu is essential for anything Infinity Castle related. He's Tanjiro's mentor, his partner in this arc.
He is. However, here is the caveat. While Tanjiro is arriving February 13th, the sources are very clear that Giyu Tomioka is scheduled to follow later in 2026.
Later in 2026, that is vague. And honestly, a little frustrating. Why split them up? They are a duo.
It is a classic live service strategy. If you drop everyone at once, the hype spikes and then dies in a week.
Okay, that's fair.
By holding Giyu back, they keep the community talking. They keep players logging in months from now.
So Tanjiro is the appetizer and the main course for this week. Giyu is dessert, a late-night snack 6 months from now.
Something like that. The source material actually has a bit of fun with this delay. It suggests that the gap between releases gives players just enough time to perfect your breathing techniques and battle strategies.
I love that. Don't be mad he's late. Just go practice. That is incredible marketing spin.
It is cheeky, but it is not wrong from a competitive standpoint. With characters like Kaigaku and Akaza joining the fray alongside this new Tanjiro, the meta of the game is likely going to shift wildly this Friday.
Oh, for sure.
You probably do need that time to adjust before Giyu arrives to shake things up again later in the year.
That is a very glass-half-full way of looking at it. I'll take it. I'll be in the training mode practicing my water-breathing parries until he drops.
But you know what is fascinating here is, if we zoom out a little bit, we have been talking about the game mechanics, the roster, the dates, but why Infinity Castle? Why now?
Because it's cool. Because it's the final arc.
Well, yes, but it's not just the game. This connects to what I mentioned earlier about the ecosystem. The Infinity Castle is the dominant theme of the entire franchise right now.
Oh, right, because of the movies.
Exactly. The source material highlights the Infinity Castle movie trilogy. This is a massive undertaking. They aren't just doing a season of TV, they're doing 3 full theatrical films.
And it kicked off in Japan recently, right?
Yes, on July 18th. And the sources are calling it a game changer in anime cinema. It is already breaking records.
A trilogy of films for one arc. That is ambitious.
It is. But here's the technical detail from the reports that really caught my eye, and I think it explains why this arc is being treated differently.
Okay.
The sources mentioned that the first film was recently re-released in Japanese theaters with a specific upgrade. It is shining in the expanded 1.43.1 IMAX format.
1.43.1. Okay, for those of us who aren't cinematographers, can we break that down? Why does that number matter?
Okay, let's simplify it. Most movies you see in a theater are in widescreen, a long, thin rectangle.
Right.
That's usually an aspect ratio of 2.39.1. It is great for landscapes, for horizons.
Big sweeping shots of fields or cities.
Exactly. Now, typical digital IMAX is taller. But 1.43.1, that is the full IMAX square. It is a massive, towering image that fills your entire peripheral vision from top to bottom.
Okay, so it is huge. But why does Demon Slayer specifically need that?
Think about the setting, the Infinity Castle.
Oh, right.
It is not a landscape. It is a complex, shifting, multidimensional fortress. It has staircases going up into darkness, doors on the ceiling, platforms dropping into the abyss. It is a space defined by verticality.
So using that tall 1.43.1 ratio actually lets you see the castle the way it's meant to be seen. You see the floor and the ceiling at the same time.
Precisely. It immerses you completely. It makes that endless quality feel real. The source calls it a spectacle.
That sounds incredible. I mean, playing the game is one thing, but seeing that world in a format that's literally breaking industry ground.
And it is. The source knows this is an industry first for anime films. We have seen it in Dune or Oppenheimer, but for an anime to animate specifically for that massive vertical scope, that is historic.
It shows the level of investment in this property. They aren't just churning out content. They are pushing technical boundaries.
It is a good time to be a fan.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, not everyone is in Japan to see that IMAX history being made. And maybe some of our listeners are thinking, okay, I want to play this new Tanjiro, but I'm a little behind on the story.
That is a common situation with long-running series. The lore gets dense, and people fall off the wagon.
So where do we stand on catching up? If I want to know why Tanjiro has this steely resolve before I pick up the controller on Friday, what is my homework?
The sources are helpful here. If you need the lore before you dive into the Hinokami Chronicles 2 update, Crunchyroll is the hub.
Good old Crunchyroll.
They are streaming the original anime series, the Mugen Train arc, and this is the crucial one, the recent Hashira training arc.
Hashira training arc, that's the one that leads right into this, doesn't it?
It does. It is the calm before the storm. The source mentions that the Hashira training arc has been capturing hearts and leaving fans hungry for more.
It's basically the training montage season.
Yes, but it establishes the emotional stakes for everyone involved. If you want to understand the emotional state of Tanjiro in this new DLC, that steely resolve, that arc is your homework.
Okay, good to know. And for the record, sub and dub.
Both options are available according to the report, so there are no language barriers there.
Love that. Accessibility is key. Speaking of which, let's get back to the practicals for the game. Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles 2. Where can I play it?
The platform list is pretty comprehensive. You can find it on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Naturally. That's the home turf for anime fighters, usually.
It is also on Xbox One and Xbox Series XS.
Nice. Good to see Xbox getting love.
And for the portable crowd, it is on the Nintendo Switch.
Always good to slay demons on the go.
And, of course, PC. So, your trusty PC, as the source puts it.
It really does seem like they want everyone to play this. The source frames it as a call to action for anyone who is a fan of fighting games with a touch of anime magic.
And that's a good way to put it. Hinokami Chronicles isn't Street Fighter. It's about capturing that specific flair and drama of the show.
It's an arena fighter.
Exactly. It's about spectacle. And with the Infinity Castle update, that spectacle is getting a lot darker and a lot more intense.
And we know this isn't the end, right? This is just part 1 after all.
Correct. The source explicitly states to keep your eyes peeled. More updates and character reveal trailers are sure to emerge. The universe is continuing to expand.
So to recap the mission for our listeners, this Friday, February 13th.
The date to circle. Tanjiro Kamado. Infinity Castle Incarnation.
He arrives in Demon Slayer. The Hinokami Chronicles 2, you can get the Infinity Castle Part 1 character pass to unlock him, along with Zenitsu, Shinobu, Akaza, Doma, and Kaigaku.
Just remember, Giyu is on a delay until later this year. manage those expectations.
And while you were waiting for the download, remember that the anime side of things is breaking records with that IMAX trilogy. The franchise is operating at peak performance right now.
It is the perfect storm of content.
It really is. It feels like the perfect time to, as the source says, jump into the fray or return if you've been away.
You know, this raises an important question for me, a provocative thought, if you will, before we sign off.
Oh, lay it on us.
We have this convergence happening. On one hand, you have the movie trilogy, this passive, overwhelming visual spectacle in IMAX.
Yeah.
You sit there and you watch the story unfold. You are an observer.
Right. You are witnessing history, but you can't change it.
Exactly. But on the other hand, you have this game update. It gives you the Infinity Castle incarnations. It hands you the sword.
You're in the driver's seat.
So how does playing as these characters, controlling that steely resolve, making the split-second decisions, change the way we experience this story compared to just watching it?
That is actually a really cool thing to think about.
Does taking control make the Infinity Castle feel more dangerous because you can lose?
Yeah.
Or does it give us a sense of power and agency that the movie denies us?
That is deep. When I'm watching the movie, I'm worried for Tanjiro. When I'm playing, I am Tanjiro. And if I lose to Akaza, that's on me.
Exactly. The agency changes the emotional stakes entirely.
Well, listeners, that is something for you to chew on while you are waiting for that download bar to hit 100% this Friday. Are you just watching the story or are you surviving it?
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Infinity Castle. Good luck with your battles, sharpen those swords, and we will catch you next time.
Stay curious.